This is going to be a ton of fun. Bryce Whitlow is the host of the MLB Hall of Good podcast.
Hoping to give it an extraordinary effort today.
Just watch Grid
Honestly,
18 or 505 performance, and that'll take all the nerves right off the table for you. Welcome to Ordinary Effort. We're a bunch of random fans, get some random baseball players, and try not to biff the grid. I'm Mike here with my buddy Josh. We are looking at Immaculate Grid 527. And I'm excited for a couple reasons. One, I'm never going to pass up on a good Mets grid. I like the positions that we see here for the middle and right hand column, and we've got another awesome guest for this episode.
we do. This is going to be a ton of fun. This is a really awesome host of an awesome podcast that we have found since we started the show. I'm going to introduce him, but before we do that, just you say podcast, I can't help but say if you are watching this and you don't know we have a podcast, it's on Apple Music and Spotify. And if reverse, you listen to us on podcasts, we release these on YouTube, some clips on Instagram. So just appreciate however you're checking it out. And if you like what you hear, follow us, subscribe, leave a rating. Especially if you're an Instagram fan, we have learned about a ton of players just by people commenting on our videos, and we'll try to fit them in a grid when you do. So, shout us out there, and yeah, really enjoy seeing you. But speaking of podcasts, Bryce Whitlow is the host of the MLB Hall of Good podcast. It's an awesome show, so you've got to check it out. He covers like forgotten players from the 2000s, 2010s. We've learned about some guys looking at his channel. You definitely will if you shoot him a follow. And Bryce is also in New Hampshire, where I am. So I'm pumped that we've got a local person on. So yeah, without further ado, Bryce, thanks for doing this with us.
Yeah, guys, I really appreciate coming on. A little nervous, don't want to make a fool out of myself. Hoping to give it an extraordinary effort today.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah,
Dude, just just
somebody's probably
watch
used that before, but yeah.
just watch Grid
Honestly,
18 or
yeah.
505 performance, and that'll take all the nerves right off the table for you.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I do appreciate this opportunity. I'm super excited. I've been a fan of you guys for months now, and so it's really great to be here.
Thanks,
Yeah,
man. I
well,
appreciate that.
yeah, feeling is mutual. Let's do it. And for those of you listening, we gotta call out that Bryce is like decked out in Red Sox gear. So it's very fitting that this grid on the left has Red Sox, Nats, Pirates. And then on the right, it is Mets, and then those really fun positional thresholds. So played left field, minimum one game, played right field, minimum one game. Yeah, this will be a fun one. I feel like Bryce, you're the guest. Why don't you pick the box we should like kick it off with?
My mind and my eyes instantly go to the Red Sox played left field or right field category to
Okay.
start off with. And so trying to think, left field, right field, you obviously, you have the greats, you think of like Dwight Evans, Jim Bryce, I'm sure. Modern
Mhm.
day, I think of like Jacoby Ellsbury or a Jaron Duran type, but obviously we want to get a little bit more obscure with that. So I'm just trying to think of some names off the top of my head here.
Yeah. I mean, Dwight Evans is a good one. I wouldn't have thought of that. I feel like I shout this guy all the time just because I feel like, and he's burned us before, but Brock Holt was like the
Mm.
utility guy. I don't know though. I mean, he played on some teams when the Red Sox had like just absolute stacked outfield. So I don't know actually how much time he would have got out there. Just throwing that out.
I do feel like at least at one point he had to have stepped on left or right field,
Yeah.
that you would imagine.
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
we got roasted when we put him on for Rangers second base because apparently they scaled
Oh,
back what positions he played when he went to Texas. I don't know that I want to take that risk again.
yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
think he was the most versatile with Boston. But I also want to get somebody else on the grid too because we've used Holt a couple times. For me, right fields, this isn't that long ago, and I feel like maybe he's got a little bit of a cult following because of what happened with his contract. But Rusney Castillo, right? Like he came up,
Mm.
what was it, 2015, 14, 15, something like that, like mid 2010s. Was supposed to be pretty good. They signed him to what, an 80 something $1 million 8-year deal. And then because of the way the tax threshold was, they sent him to the minors and they never called him back up.
Mm.
So he was a guy that sticks out for me. I don't know how rare he's going to be, but I think the story is just fun. Like, well, unfortunate. I always wanted him to get a shot. I always wanted him to trade him to the Mets or something like that, and they never did. But it's an interesting story. Uh, I mean, I'm not going to throw Mookie Betts because that's gonna be. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm down to Bryce. What are you thinking? What do you feel you want to do here?
I do like the Castillo guess. It always kind of irked me how the Red Sox treated him, for better or for worse there. And he's not a name that came to my mind instantly, so I do think that's a really good guess.
All right, you want to throw Rusney? And I know he played. I don't know if he played left, but I know he played right field. So throw him in the right
Mhm.
field box here.
Yeah, that's
Rusney
great.
Castillo, Red Sox right fielder,
There we
0.3%
go.
hidden
Nice.
gem to kick us off.
There you
Awesome.
go. Bryce, you
Awesome.
shot out Dwight Evans again, like going back to that. I don't know. I don't know him too well, so I don't know if he works for left field. I think it's a really
Mm.
good shout, but we could bounce that one or other ones.
I actually do have a pretty obscure one for left field,
Oh
I
yeah.
think. And so the Red Sox, when I was growing up, I was born in 2001, so it was about 2010, 2011. They had a guy primarily a first baseman. His name was Lars Anderson. And he was supposed to
Mm.
be a big prospect guy. He didn't work out, but I scour his baseball reference page often during work, which I shouldn't, but I do. And I seem to remember them trying him in left field a few times. And
Okay.
so it's risky, I will admit, but I'd like to try Lars Anderson
Ooh,
for
okay.
that
Yeah,
spot.
I
That is
love
not a
it.
name I
Go
would
for
have come up with at
Yeah, I
all.
didn't honestly. I didn't. I'm curious how many Lars besides him and Newbar are
New
in
bar, yeah.
Major League Baseball. But
That's a great question.
yeah, I'm down to try it. I was thinking about
this
Christian
could be a
Arroyo. No, no, no.
Ooh.
You're right. The risk. It's worth the risk. It's worth the risk. Yeah.
I, I figured this is my one shot, I might as well go for it
Yeah.
here. Let's see
Yeah,
what we
Yeah.
can do.
I was
I'm
th
down.
we'll
Yeah.
throw Lars on there. I was thinking though, because we had what was it, Joe Rico a few months back came on, and we were talking about guys who played for the A's and Reds and Blue Jays, but in doing so, Jose Canseco, I believe, played for the Red Sox,
He
didn't he?
did.
It wasn't
Yeah.
for
He
very long.
did.
We don't have to throw him here because I'm again we've mentioned Canseco. He's
I
pretty
love
well
this. I
known.
mean, yeah, you got to take the risk on grid. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yep. All right, Lars Anderson, Red
Uh,
Sox left fielder.
Nice.
Oh,
There it
point
is.
zero
I,
five percent hidden gem.
I I think he has less
Yeah.
than 10 games in the outfield for his
Oh,
career.
Man,
I
that wouldn't
I
surprise
look at
me.
his page a lot because I really had high
yeah.
hopes for him as a little kid. But
Wow, love
Yeah.
that.
Is that a Blue Jays hat or a minor
It does
league
look like a Blue
hat?
Jays hat.
Or
it's a um he had a couple minor league deals, I think, after the Red Sox, and
okay.
so I believe it's like how Ryan Howard's in a Rockies hat, I
Yeah.
think, on his baseball reference page.
Yeah.
It's
What?
Yeah.
similar to that.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure, unless they
no, no.
fix it, I think Ryan Howard has a Rockies
Yeah.
hat on.
That's like sacrilege. I'm a Mets fan, and that's sacrilege. That's offensive to me. Like,
Yes,
come on. Oh, wow. Do you want to finish out the row, or do you want to bounce around? Like, I'm good. I'm not.
I
Uh,
guess
go ahead.
I
Yeah.
Go
guess
ahead.
we can finish out the row. Let's
Yeah,
go
yeah,
for it.
yeah.
Mets
Yeah.
category.
Oh, twist my
Yeah.
arm. Mets, Red Sox. Oof. I got a couple guys. I'm not trying to
I
jump the
do
line here,
too.
but
I
I
mean,
got. You go first. You do yours.
yeah, I've got a couple. I don't know how big they'd be. I mean, you have Yoenis Cespedes and Rick Porcello off the
Yep.
top of my head. They were traded for each other, not in a trade for the Mets and the Red Sox, but they
Oh,
instantly come to my mind. Those are the two. I think Addison Reed, a reliever, split time between the two as well.
yes.
Those are the three that jumped out to me.
Okay,
Mm.
you're right. So along the lines of relievers, Jeurys Familia had a very short, probably
Oh,
not too memorable stint with Boston towards the end of his career.
That's a good one.
Um, you've also got okay, so I know there's a guy, I think he was a relief pitcher also, Calvin Schiraldi from like the 80s teams. I remember the name from the 86 World Series when he pitched against the Mets, but I
mm.
believe that he was on the Mets. I think it was, I want to say it was before the Red Sox. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think he played for both. And then couple, Eduardo Nunez, I think played for both.
Oh,
And he played for the
Yeah,
Yankees, so
he did. He
satisfied
does work
everybody's
here.
preferences here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then another Met Yankee Red Sox connection, Chris Young, the outfielder, not the pitcher, but the
oh
outfielder,
yeah,
Chris
Oh,
Young, who
yeah. I,
yeah,
Adam Ottavino is another one who played for all
oh,
three too. That comes
he
to my mind.
does.
dead.
Yeah. I was gonna
Ooh,
say, did you already shout this? Joely Rodriguez works as well.
Oh,
no.
Um, I've used
Hmm.
him a bunch on grids because he works for the Yankees, works for the Red Sox, works for the Mets. I mean, I think some of those older guys you mentioned, Mike, will be just as good. I mean, relievers are often we talk about this all the time, like forgotten on the
Yeah.
grid. But yeah, I'm good with a lot of those names you threw out.
Do you want to go Schiraldi? I mean, because like Familia was spent most of his career with the Mets, so I feel like he's more commonly known as a Met. I mean, you probably say the same about Schiraldi though. I don't know. I don't know his career as well. I just know he played for
Yeah.
both teams. Bryce, what do you want to do here? Who do you want to throw in this box? We have a shot at a
I
triple
like
play,
I like
which
the
is
Schiraldi guess.
you want.
I barely even know who that is. I gotta be honest. If it's
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
if it's pre 2000, I have trouble with it. So I
Okay.
think that's
Yeah.
a great
All
guess.
right. Let's
Yeah,
let's
I'm
do
with
it.
you.
Calvin Schiraldi,
All
4%.
right.
Wow.
Okay.
Ah.
That's surprising to me.
Uh,
Like, I mean, I just don't know who plays grids these days. Like, maybe we've got a lot of guys with throwing 80s names.
Calvin's got some
Um,
people on the inside throwing his name
yeah.
elevated above the scores here.
Where do you want to go next?
uh, let's just keep working our way down then, since we got a Mets fan here, it'd be good.
Ah,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Let me just get my okay. Let's do actually, you know what? Let's jump down to the bottom because I know we've done Pirates quite a bit lately. Josh and I are both getting tired of it. So let's knock this one out. Mets Pirates. Now, there's a guy that I
This
mentioned
is
in a
your
recent
guy.
episode. Yeah, this is one
It's
of my
your guy.
guys who
Yeah.
I always thought I would use him for Mets Mariners. I know he works for Mets Pirates. Blas Minor was a relief pitcher in the early 90s. That's
I don't
really all
know
I got.
him.
That's
I
all I
don't
know.
know him, but I
Yeah,
know him because Mike knows
all the
him.
time.
Basically, like this is the guy you always. I mean, I shouldn't even say you always throw him out. We haven't had a chance to, but early, like I've said before, early in the days we had a grid group chat. I mean,
Every
it
other
was like
day.
the book of Blaz.
Blast.
Like, I
Yeah.
mean, like
You've
I'm
also got Xavier Nady here. You've got Oliver Perez.
yeah.
Who was the trade in that 2006? Perez, Roberto Hernandez was the relief pitcher that came over in that
I
trade.
g- I gotta be honest, and I'm not afraid to admit it. I had never heard of that first guy that
Yeah,
that
don't
you
be. I
named.
mean,
Well,
there's not a lot of reason to, and no disrespect to the man. Like,
this is twice now. We've
I
kind of
mean,
sort of disrespected him in that.
listen, I'm saying this
He's a grid
comfortably from
legend, all
my
right?
computer chair. Never played a game of professional baseball,
Yeah.
so
Well,
Blaz is superior to me. But it's not a memorable. It's all right that we don't remember Blaz, but we can give him a shout and help others remember him.
we could also.
I certainly would. The only name really jumping out to me was Neil Walker, and I feel like that would be a
Yep.
high
Yeah,
percentage guess
We
because
we
he's
could
pretty
also
yeah,
popular, I think.
we could also throw Bobby Bonilla here. We could also throw Jeremy Burnitz
yeah.
here.
I
Yeah,
always get the Hernandez brothers mixed up a bit because Levon pitched for the Pirates, but did he ever pitch for the Mets? Or am I wrong on both there?
I think he pitched for the Nats. I don't know that
Okay,
Levon
okay.
pitched for. Yeah,
I might be
I don't.
mixing him up with someone else.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
So how do we want to do this? Who do we throw him Blast again? Because we did put him on a recent grid,
I think we
and
gotta put Blast. Yeah. I mean, there
Blast
are
Minor.
certain guys, if you have a chance to put them down, just throw them down. Yeah.
All right, Blast Minor, 0.05% hidden gem.
Nice.
Oh, love
I
it.
love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to finish out the Mets column here? Just let me get my let me just blurt
Yeah.
out all the names that I've been sitting on here.
Do it up.
All
Yeah.
right. Mets Nationals slash Expos. Couple guys here. You have Matt Den Decker, who is a fourth outfielder, played for
Okay.
both. You've got a utility infielder, Anderson Hernandez. I think they were probably close to around the same era, probably 10, 15 years ago or so. Both of them work here. And then my guy Mel Rojas, who my dad, you knew when he came into the game because my dad would start yelling things from the kitchen. Mel Rojas works here also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Den Decker instantly jumped out to me. Another name I thought of, I think Den Decker's a better guess, but another name I thought was maybe Jerry Blevins, the reliever. I think
Ooh.
he had a short
Oh,
span in DC. He is pretty popular now though, because
Mm.
he's pretty big in baseball media. So I don't know if that's the best guess to go with.
Yeah, I think he's on the
yeah.
Mets post game on SNY now. He's doing some stuff, so he might be more recognizable at this point.
He also did that awesome podcast that I think has taken a hiatus a little bit, Shea Station with Jolly Olive. And
Mm.
even as a Yankee fan, that show's awesome. So even if we don't use him on the grid, shout out Jerry for doing awesome stuff. But yeah, I think yeah, Den Decker's a good one. I mean, I wasn't even going to name anybody because I can't compete with your Mets knowledge, but I was like,
Go
Jesse
for it.
Winker works,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Like,
Jesse Winker. Very
there's
mixed
no way
feelings
we're,
about.
and again, we're not using Jesse if we got other options. So,
He's tearing it up right now, so I feel like he's
yes,
top of mind
yes,
too. All
yeah,
right, so you guys feeling you both said Den Decker after I listed a couple, so let's go Matt
I'm
Den
good with
Decker.
it.
If I could spell it right, there it is. Matt Den Decker,
There we
0.6%
go.
hidden
Nice.
gem.
Yeah, hit the Mets hat too.
All right,
Beautiful.
okay.
All right.
I'm gonna take a back seat here. Somebody else, I've gotten my
Oh
Mets kicks out of
man.
the way. Where do you want to go
Well,
Um,
next?
yeah, what are you thinking, Bryce?
let's tackle the Nationals outfield for a
Yeah.
minute here.
Let's do it.
So we
All
can start
right.
at left field, I guess.
All right.
Some
Yeah.
few names from my childhood, maybe like a Niger Morgan, Roger Bernardina. Those are the types of outfielders that come to my
Oh,
mind.
I
I'm not
love
sure how popular they are though.
both of those are great. Niger
yeah.
Morgan. He played for the Brewers too, right? He was like,
Yeah, Tony
okay.
Plush.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, wow. That's a great
Yeah,
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Those are
Bernardina
great
is another good one
shouts.
too. I love both of those.
yeah. I try and think of utility guys, and a name I think of is maybe like a Steve Lombardozzi. But I'm not
Ooh.
sure how much time he got in the outfield, so that would be another
Mm.
risky one. So I'm not sure on that. I always try and think of those utility guys who don't spend their whole time in the outfield.
Ooh.
But
I'm not okay. Not 100% sure on this, but I know he played for, of course, he played for the Mets. Joe Orsulak spent some time on. I mean, this guy's like probably late 80s, early 90s. He was a utility guy for the Mets in the early 90s when they were superb. I think he played outfield
Mm.
and or first base. I don't know. I don't know if I'm confident enough to put him here, but I probably should have said him for the Mets and ass box. Forget what I just said. Let me go with one of the other ones.
This is a really dumb question. I'm going to out myself a little bit for not knowing this, but Andres Galarraga played for the Expos, but I mean, I don't really know his primary position. I mean, I just think of him more like a hitter. Did he play first a
I think he
lot?
was first, maybe some
mm,
third as an
Yeah, so he's
infielder.
not
yeah,
going to
quarter
fit
infield.
here.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
I first base is like what I would have said. Yeah. Um, hmm.
I like Bernardina out of out of the two you threw it in the beginning, Bryce. That for some reason is sticking out to me. What about you,
Yeah.
Josh?
I'm good with that. I mean, it's not a name I would have thought of, so
Roger
I think it's
Bernardina,
really good.
relatively short career, 0.2%. Love it.
There we
Nice.
Hidden
go.
gem.
Yeah,
Oh,
nice
and that's
price.
a one, two, three. That's a triple play. That's the last three in a row right
Nice. There
there.
we
Boom.
go.
Love it.
Nice.
All right.
Beautiful.
Nationals right field. Did Ian Desmond play any
His first outfield appearance came with the Texas Rangers. I
are you
know that for a fact. I just re
Oh,
1,000%. I just
Mm,
researched him the other week.
okay. I
I
all
would,
know
right.
he came up as a shortstop, right? And then
yes.
eventually he played some center field, maybe. I don't remember
Yeah,
exactly where
the
in the outfield.
yeah, the Rangers tried him in the outfield. I know that. But that was his first appearance. I looked at his appearances the other week because I was making a video about him, so I do know.
Mm,
I'm 100% confident in
Actually,
that.
that's a really good segue. Real quick, just to pause for a second. So the stuff you do, obviously you have the podcast, and you saying I know I've seen some of your stuff come up on Instagram. Do you cross post on like Twitter X, and then also that goes to Instagram? Like I've seen.
Yeah, yeah. Usually it's X and Instagram is primarily what I use. Yes.
Okay.
nice.
And how do you choose your guys like that you highlight? Do you kind of like I know some people like take a baseball card just out of a deck, either
Yeah.
things like that. So
I'll just be sitting at home and be like, oh, I remember him. I liked him, like Roger Bernardina, for instance. And then
Yeah.
I'll be like, I'll just make a video about him and see if other people remember him as
I
well.
feel like
So that's
that's like
pretty much it.
I feel like that's like one of those memes where it's like he's thinking about somebody else, and it's like
Yeah.
Roger Roger Bernardino was an underrated fourth outfielder in 2012.
That's
Man,
me. Yeah.
I was like sitting around and my buddy who I grew up with texted me and was like, "Man, I can't believe Raul Mondesi never had 100 RBI." And I'm like, "Oh, is he on the grid today? Like, why are we thinking about
Yeah,
this?" Like, but he was just, it was a solid
yeah,
point. So yeah, we get that
yeah.
sitting around thinking of guys. So
Taking
yeah.
a shower. Oh,
Yeah.
Rick Ankiel did play for the Mets that one season. Yeah. All right. So,
Yeah.
um, so anyway, so Nats right fielder. You said Ian Desmond. We don't think he played right field for the Nats. Who else
Yeah.
could we throw here? I mean, again, ignoring the obvious Harper, Soto's, all those. You know.
I know he was only there for a short time. I have to shout him out. He's one of my favorite players ever. Ben Revere, I would say
Oh,
maybe played some right
Yeah.
field for them. I'm not sure if he played all three outfield positions for
Mm.
them. He was a little banged up when he was there, so I'm not
So
100% on
I
that.
remember him. I remember him on the Phillies because
Very
that
good on the
Phillies
Phillies.
team. Yeah. And I remember him. I remember him as a center fielder. I don't want to say that he didn't play right field, but I
Mm.
remember when I think of him, I
Yeah,
think of center field first.
hmm.
yeah, I don't mind steering clear of that.
Mm.
It was one of those names that I have to mention anytime I get the chance.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I really like that one actually.
This is
And
surprisingly
Mm.
kind of tough. Like, I mean,
also we can use expos here, which
yeah,
is so you have like Vlad Senior would fit here. Larry Walker,
yeah, that's
Larry
true.
Walker, right? Larry Walker played right
Should
field,
be,
right?
yeah.
I feel like I should know this.
You mentioned Rick and Keel as well. I believe he played some right field in DC for a bit.
Oh, that's a
Oh,
solid point. You said it, and I thought about Rick and Keel's like comeback as an outfielder, but I just couldn't think what team it was. That's a good point.
mm.
I think Reed Johnson spent a little bit of time in DC as well. I might be off on that.
Hmm,
Well, now I'm really nervous.
I
I,
mean,
and I don't know why my brain is like shoehorning everybody into center field because I know Ankiel had a really, I mean, obviously he couldn't control the ball, which is why he switched from pitching to hitting, but he had a cannon. So it would
Hmm.
make
yeah,
sense if they played him in right field. Um, oh, now I'm
could
so
be worth
nervous.
a guess.
Rick Ankiel.
Because I
I say
mean,
we go
we
for it.
haven't named anyone we're super confident about. I would
Yeah.
rather guess in Biff and Keel than put down Soto. So,
Well, I'm not. Yeah, we're
um,
not putting so that
yeah,
Soto is not happening on this. All right,
yeah.
you want to roll the dice with Rick Ankiel?
Let's try it. Oh,
0.5%,
There we go.
and the
nice.
gamble pays off.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. Two left here. Both outfield positions for the Pirates. Um.
One name that comes to mind, I mean, I don't think it's gonna be particularly rare, and I'm actually not sure he plays the position, but Andujar,
Oh
they
yeah.
kept trying to get him to play the outfield for the Yankees after he just like really struggled defensively at third, and he was on the Pirates. I wonder if he would have played some left field because I feel like third base would have been. Wouldn't Brian Hayes have overlapped with him? I don't think they really played him at third.
Um. That's a good question.
I think he's played some outfield for Oakland this season too. I feel like
He
I turned on a
has.
Red
Yeah,
Sox game and he was in left field.
Yeah, and
I
not
want to
and
say it
pretty
was
well
left
too.
too.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to use him, but it's a thought.
Oh, Melky Cabrera works here.
Oh,
Melky had some
Melky. Yeah,
time. Melky played for a bunch of teams actually.
Mm.
Mets,
yeah.
Yankees, Braves, Giants, White Sox, Pirates. There might be one or two others in there, but I'm pretty sure he played left for most of them.
Yes, yes, some guys that come to my head from my childhood were kind of like Alex Presley, Jose Tabata, names like
Oh,
that.
Oh,
well, I like those a lot better.
yeah.
Those are
No,
good.
I mean
I
those are
forgot about
great.
them.
Yeah. Jose Tabata, I'm just gonna go out. I
Um,
don't know who that is. So that's like a good. I mean, that's a good barometer, right? I mean, not that I like know everybody, but I
He's
think
he's
that's a.
he's best known for ruining Max Scherzer's perfect game. He kind of leaned into a pitch
oh,
Oh,
towards the
great.
later stages of the game.
Well, now we have
And
to.
then
I
Oh,
think we got to put him on the grid now. Right?
yeah, yeah. And you feel good he played left, or was that his position, or
yes,
like okay,
I
All right.
believe he played all outfield positions
okay,
at least once. I'm confident.
All right, let's
let's
do it.
do it.
Jose Tabata, 0.9
Nice,
percent, another hidden gem. All right.
nice.
Right field, Pirates to bring this home. Um, this is not going to be the most rare, but Gregory Polanco spent some
Hmm.
time
Yeah,
out there. I think,
yeah, I feel like you want to steer clear of the Starling Marte, McCutcheon, Polanco outfield. I feel like
yep,
that's so fresh in people's minds still. It's
Yeah.
fresh in mine.
yeah. And I think the name I threw here earlier works. Xavier Nady played right field, and
Oh,
Jeremy Burnett's, and possibly Bobby. They might all, Bonilla might have played there too. I think they all played right field for
yeah.
the Pirates. And I actually, you know what? So I did look this up recently. I forget. I think Josh, probably mentioned him on one of our other recent Pirate grids, and then I was just looking through his baseball reference page. I thought he was on the Pirates longer. He played 1 year for the Pirates at the end of his career, and I did not realize that. For
Hmm.
some reason in my head, I was like, he played for the Mets, the Brewers, and I think he played for the Rockies, but I thought he played much more time with the Pirates than he did.
Yeah.
Um, those guys work here, but I'm also, I mean, what else do you guys have?
I know Jason Bay had a nice run
Mm.
with Pittsburgh, but he was popular. He was an all-star there.
Mm.
So I'm not sure how good that would be.
Two things. No, can't do it as a
Jason Bay and the
matter.
Mets, like this is, I
He was good
mean,
for us, yeah.
No, he
yeah,
was very good.
true, true. Yeah.
But did he play right field or did he play left field? Because I
You
think of
could
him
be
as a
right.
left fielder. And that's
I'm not gonna challenge you on that. I'm not sure on that really.
yeah.
There's a
I
couple more current guys. So I don't know how helpful they are. Henry Davis, and
mm,
when they were trying to figure out what he would play, played a good deal of outfield. I know this only because there was a lot to do about him with fantasy, having outfield eligibility and being a catcher, but I
yeah.
don't know if it was right field.
Who was the other guy that he was a utility infielder? He came up in the last couple of years. It what no. Was it Luis Castillo? Another Luis, there's been many Luis Castillos. Um,
Yeah.
this he played second base, and I think didn't he, Josh? He came up in one of our group chats because he went. The Mets signed him, then they released in all in this offseason. The Mets signed him, then they released him. The Yankees
Yes.
signed him, they released him. Then one of the two of them signed him again and released him. And I cannot remember
I know who you're talking about, and the name
what
is like on the tip of my tongue, but
the
I don't think
right.
it's Luis Castillo. Um,
Oh, and I know
the other one I was thinking was
Kyle really liked
Jax.
him. So sorry, good.
Yes. No, I was thinking Jack Sawinski, but did he
Mm,
play more center for them? I mean,
definitely played center. He may have moved
yeah,
around though. Um, yeah. Oof.
Mm.
tough one. I mean, I want to finish this grid strong. It's we haven't really said it, but it's a decent grid. We got a good chance of getting single digits if we play
Sure,
our
I'm
grids
I'll
right.
wondering I'm wondering how good of a guess a Jose Bautista would be because I
mm,
know
Oh,
he that's where he spent a big chunk of the beginning of his career, but a lot of people might be wise to that
yeah. I mean,
because he is popular.
yeah, he was popular. I mean, I think the first two teams I think of with him are Pirates and Blue Jays.
mm,
Yep.
Um, hmm.
I'm
There's also
thinking of some
Roberto
of
Clemente, right?
the.
Clemente works here,
Yeah,
but a
yeah.
little
I'm
too
thinking
classic
about
for
that
what we're trying to do.
infielder. That's gonna bug me, Mike. Like that guy you're
Oh,
thinking
immediately
about.
looking that up afterwards because that's going to drive. I'm not going to sleep.
Yeah, it's
Um,
not. We talk a lot about Dubon, but he's on the Astros.
yeah.
Um,
Not to push the guys I threw here, but I know that Burnett's works here. I know that Nady works here.
yeah,
Uh,
I'm good with either of those. But we're gonna have to look up that guy afterwards. I actually think that there was a Yankees prospect who was an Asian player who ended up on the Pirates after the Yankees. And I think he was mostly a middle infielder, and I don't know if it's the same guy we're thinking about, but
mm,
regardless of the fact, I think we're good with Nady. I'm good with Nady or Burnitz.
Mm.
Bryce, I mean, you started us off. Why don't you make the call on one of those
I
guys?
I was a big Xavier Nady fan, so I mean,
Okay.
if we had to choose between the two, I will go with him, I think.
All right, let's do
Yeah.
Xavier Nady.
I'm good with it. Yeah.
1%.
Nice.
1%.
Yeah.
Very nice.
There we go.
Hey, this is a beautiful grid right here.
Yeah, it is.
We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 hidden gems for a
Yeah.
total grid score of 8. Rarefied air
I'll,
grid. This is great. I'm very
Yeah.
happy with this. And we
I'll
got a
take
lot
it.
of names
Yeah.
on here. We got a lot of names on here that we haven't floated at all before. No thanks to me, because I've mentioned the same Mets guys about 50,000 times at this point.
Yeah,
But
I don't think
Bryce,
we put Den Decker on a grid yet. And I
no,
gotta
we
say,
haven't.
like,
No,
if you had told me before that Schiraldi would be half of the rarity score, that's actually really surprising to me. But
yeah. I In
yeah,
retrospect, I probably would have put Chris Young for some reason. Every time I put Chris Young on a grid, he's very, very low.
yeah,
But oh well. I mean, hey, 8 is pretty good. It's a pretty good
yeah,
grid.
Yeah, I'll definitely take that.
Right?
yeah,
Got Roger Bernardina in there. Lars Anderson is the
yeah,
stud of the grid, I would say here.
yeah.
This is good.
Yeah, man, Bryce, this was a ton of fun. Like, thank you so much for coming on. And again, like, if you're listening, watching, you got to check out Bryce's podcast, MLB Hall of Good. It's just a really blast from the past kind of thing to relive some players. Yeah, and just in general, Bryce, like, just love connecting with you and glad you came on with us.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys having me on. It was a ton of fun. I'm glad it turned out pretty well too. Definitely happy about that.
Yeah, yeah,
Ordinary Effort on Instagram and TikTok. Ordinary Effort _ on Twitter, because we relate to the party. And if you're listening, check us out on YouTube. If you're watching, check us out on the podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. We're just gonna keep rolling and doing the grids like we do.
yeah. Thanks, everyone.